Oh, what's up, people? It's your boy, Cypher Providence, back at it again with another YouTube video. It's been a while, but since it is the start, or by the time this video is released, it'll be the first day of October, which is the start of my horror movie marathons. Um, as you can see, based off of the imagery I have right here, we're gonna be talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, which I felt was um respectably the best movie I could start off my whole horror movie marathon with, as it's obviously widely known as a classic, a very good movie despite its kind of poor reception when it first came out in 1982. Uh, this movie going in, I thought was gonna be good, but I was not expecting it to bang as hard as it did. Watching it, because I've seen clips, and I've watched shout out to Dead Meat. I've watched their kill counts, so obviously I've watched the Thing kill count, which, like, he, honestly, the way he talks about it every time in his videos, where he's like, these kill counts don't accurately represent how good these movies are, is a huge understatement. Because I mean, I thought, like, seeing the things and everything in the kill count were cool, but actually, like, watching it through and through and everything just made me realize how really good it was. So, as I said earlier, it was released in 1982. It's based on the story Who Goes There, which essentially follows the same plot as the film, just has additional characters and isn't like one to one as the film is, you know? The book came first, or the story came first, and then they adapted it in the 1950s. I don't exactly remember the exact date on when the original The Thing came out, but they adapted the story into a film in the 1950s. Since it's obviously 1950s, they couldn't technologically and practically accurately depict a lot of the things that the story was talking about and showcasing. So when it comes to 1982 version, it, at least from what I've heard, more accurately depicts a lot of what that story was going for, as this film has very good practical effects, and, like, the practical effects in this movie are really fucking good. Like, they're one of my favorite features of this film. So hearing that it accurately depicts it really paints into picture how probably, like, crazy and cool the story is. So I might have to give that a little read sometime this month. So, as I said, they had the 1950s released, with this film improving a lot of the things that the 1950s film couldn't accurately depict or do because of the time. It also, like I said earlier, has wonderful practical effects. Probably some of my favorite practical effects in any movie, aside from maybe like Jurassic Park, at least the first one, because those practical effects are really good in that film. The plot and characters for the film are actually really, really good. Like, as I said earlier, I thought this movie was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be good. And the aspect that, like, really helped me, like, or helped elevate this movie for me and made me realize that it was, like, better than I thought it was going to be, were the characters. A lot of the characters were really, like, all the characters in this film were either smart or at least made decisions that I can understand and agree with, especially if I was in their position. All these characters seem smart. They all seem like they have, like, a good head on their shoulders, and ultimately it's just the bizarre and weirdness of this whole situation, as well as a few minor mistakes that they make, that ends up leading to their demises, which makes me really appreciate this film. Because it's like, it's not necessarily that, like, you know how in classic, or not classics, but how in most horror movies the characters are just like kind of uh making stupid decisions for the sake of making stupid decisions. I feel like this film is standout because in that particular aspect, because the characters aren't making stupid decisions just because of making stupid decisions. It's more so the fact that, like, just the absurdity and surprise of having this alien creature that can, like, mimic people and organisms down to the T if given enough time, really just like highlights how, like, how even like how smart they are in like contextualizing it. Because like in most situations I feel like people would just be like so just like put off by this that they would just like, they wouldn't understand, they wouldn't be able to, like, even if they were smart, they wouldn't be able to like properly process things and develop plans going forward. But all these characters, or at least most of them, adapt to this and showcase their levels of smartness. It's ultimately like I said earlier, ultimately comes down to like the absurdity of the situation, the fact that they make minor mistakes that like ultimately end up costing them their lives, and also the fact that like they the fact that this creature can assimilate and transform into people to a T, that ultimately winds up having them not trust each other, being their huge downfall. I feel like some particular stand-up characters are Mac, who's the main lead of the movie for the most part. No, actually, no, he just is the main lead of the movie. He is the uh just bang out leader. Like, he is, honestly, I would say he's the smartest character here that isn't a like scientist character. And even then, those specific like scientist like characters in this film, or doctor like characters in this film, end up not, I wouldn't necessarily say showcasing like moments of stupidity, but end up having certain like things end up what would I say? Would I say character traits, or would I say um I guess having specific moments in which like it kind of shows how they kind of let their emotions or their brain end up uh their actual, there you go, there you go, the emotions and also their like smartness kind of betrays them in the end, because they take the right approach to doing something, but in that approach, in the way they kind of let their emotions carry them into taking that approach, it ends up being their downfall. And Mac, like, kind of, he has moments where he lets his emotions like carry him, but he more so, I would say, out of all the characters, kind of like keeps it in to himself, you know, and contains it, so he's not just like uh letting his emotions take advantage of him, which I really like. And he's just like, he's the main character. We follow him throughout the most of the film. All of oh my god, all of his decisions and thought processes are things that I can follow and I can agree with. And I just like how smart he is throughout this film. So I appreciate that. I appreciate having a smart lead character and having a smart cast. Another standout character would be Childs. Um, his name is weird. I think it's a nickname, but it's just weird that maybe it could be an actual name that someone's just called Childs. But aside from his name, he's a standout character as well. I like I like the actor, or the acting that that his actor did for his character. He's a standout character because in contrast to kind of Mac's whole, not necessarily emotionless, but for lack of a better word, emotionless take to being the leader and everything. Childs is very emotional and very like much lets his emotions get the better of him in a lot of situations. But he also, despite that, is still shown as being smart and being capable, which I really like. Like I'm saying, like a lot of these characters are just smart, and these films respect that and showcase how smart they are, which I really appreciate. Another standout character for me personally was Windows. I like how kind of not necessarily ride or die he was with Mac, but kind of showcasing that like he trusted Mac, maybe because of another scene prior in the film or whatever, where Mac, like calms him down from him making a mistake, and I think after that he kind of just gains a respect for Mac and ends up like following his lead. But I feel like Windows' character throughout this whole film, like really, like I feel like aside from Mac, from like an analytical standpoint, is how I hope I would carry myself. I feel like Windows is the character that I feel like I most likely relate to. I feel like he's the one that I most relate to in this situation, as I feel like a lot of his choices, a lot of his comments, a lot of his thought processes throughout the film, I could see myself making and agreeing with most. And then, I don't remember the doctor's name because I know Mac calls two separate characters Doc. I think his name is Blair. I could be wrong. But I think his name is Blair. Yeah, it is. I just checked it up on my phone. But Blair is another standout character. He, objectively speaking, is the smartest character in this film because he immediately catches on, kinda, to what the creature is. He uses his resources and technology around him to to figure out what's going on and how best to combat the situation, which I really appreciate. And then also, he makes arguably the smartest decision, objectively speaking, in this whole film, which is uh spoiler. I'm gonna do spoilers kind of throughout this film. I'm gonna try and leave some spoilers out because I don't want to ruin the film for someone. But he makes, objectively speaking, the smartest decision of this home film by making sure that no one can leave the area. That way, they keep the creature contained to their area, which I really like. You can think like from your perspective, like, oh, why the fuck would you do that? You don't have a way to escape, but it makes sense because based off of what he was doing prior in the film, you're like, you don't want. He realizes that he does not want this creature to get out because he realizes that if he does, this creature could end up taking the world, and it could end up spreading to other people and stuff and assimilating them. And because of that, it's like it is a smart decision. There's no other way around it. It is just a smart decision for him as a character to have done that, and I agree with it. That's probably the decision I agree with the most throughout the whole film, despite what it ends up leading to, unfortunately, as it ends up and essentially ends up leading to his downfall as a character. I also like how this film leaves a lot of things ambiguous. There are scenes in which like they showcase like how certain people might have gotten assimilated or when they might have gotten assimilated and everything, but they leave it ambiguous to the point where it's like you think this is when it happens, but it's open ended enough to be like it could have happened here, but it might not have. There's only, I feel like, one scene in particular in which they definitively show someone being assimilated, But even then, they leave that open-ended by not showcasing who exactly was assimilated, which I really appreciate because I feel like it adds to the film. It adds a sense of like making this a whole like murder mystery for you as an audience, because not only are the characters themselves trying to figure out what's going on, but you as an audience member are trying to figure out what's going on, which I feel like is something that movies try and do, but they don't always do that to the best of their ability. Because I feel like a lot of the time when they try and do stuff like that, they end up giving the audience too much clues, or they don't, or they just end up just not doing that at all, and have us, the audience, knowing it already, but the characters figuring it out. And then when we get into certain moments where it's like, why didn't you just do this? If you had done this or whatever, you would have figured it out. But I feel like this, because they leave it so open ended and ambiguous, it adds and leads into us like having the characters being more believable positions, and having you know, a lot of the decisions that they make more believable and understandable, and something that you believe that you would do in in that situation. But yeah, that's basically all my thoughts. Like, I thought this film was really, really good. Like, really, really good. I was not expecting it to bang as hard as it did, and I feel like that's in due part because of the practical effects of the film, the characters and how well thought out they were, and how smart that everyone was, and how they were all understanding, or how I was understanding of all of their uh, choices and thought processes. And also, I would say that not necessarily the score in it of itself, but kind of like the atmosphere and the some music cues in this that add a sort of element to the film, which I really appreciate. And so, with like all of that being said, I'll say that this film is like an 8.5 or a 9. I'm not in the same boat as it being like not one of my, it's one of my favorite horror movies currently, but I'm not of the opinion that it's like my favorite, as a lot of people are. But I think this is a really good film. I feel like maybe down the line, a couple years from now, if I rewatch it a couple times, or if I really think about it, it could end up being one of my favorites, if not my favorite. But it's like a solid like 8.5 or 9. And so yeah, with that, we're done with our first video of the horror marathon. Um, I'm going to post a shorts that'll have my list of movies that I'm gonna be watching. That way, you guys know what I'm gonna be going through. And with that, we're underway with honestly the best month of the year for me, and hopefully a more consistent month for me as well, as I'll hopefully be banging out videos and reviews every day for this month. And with that, I'm out. Peace. Hope you have a good time, or hope you had a good time watching this. And please like and share this video. Subscribe, because if we get to 500, I will be posting a tier list of a bunch of cartoons. Some of you guys might not be interested in that, but that's something I really want to do. So I'm hoping, like, and I want to get like a couple friends with it, which is why I'm leaving it as a milestone. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for the rest of this marathon. And adios. Peace. 500 subs. 500 subs. Please.